Studios in downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View with your host, Jesse Tenor.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jesse Tenor. The May primaries come and gone with, no major really surprises on Tuesday. And so now we're looking forward to November. Joining us with a look back at the primaries and a preview of what to expect in the general election are Doyle Webb, chairman of the Republican Party of Arkansas, and Michael John Gray, chairman of the Democratic Party of Arkansas. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Great to always be with you, Jesse.
Yeah, we appreciate having you back. I know the start of the year we kind of brought you in to talk, what could the primaries bring? Well, now that we know, first off, I wanted to start with AR2, since that was definitely one of the more interesting races that we even have people in Washington commenting on, essentially, as soon as, Clark Tucker gives his victory speech. So first off, we did hear from both candidates this week, Clark Tucker and Representative French Hill, so I wanted to play some of their reaction, kind of talking about some strategies moving forward. Take a listen.
Know what's going to be on the minds and the conversation over the next 5 months, because we've already seen it a little bit. We're going to hear a lot in this campaign about national political leaders in Washington, D.C. But as far as I can tell, none of them are a candidate for Congress in Arkansas' 2nd Congressional District.
I believe that my opponent was handpicked by Nancy Pelosi, and so that's the race. That's why I think Nancy Pelosi is part of the issue before us, because she wants to roll back the tax cuts, roll back our regulatory approach, and my opponent has certainly said he didn't support the tax cut bill. So that's where we're going, and that's where I think we'll see the race turn during the year.
Chairman Webb, let's start with you. Obviously, Tucker, he got some good response from his side, from his base. Do you think French Hill's base still responds very well to this kind of messaging where it's, the insert name here of the Democratic leader who's not popular at the time?
Absolutely. What goes on in Arkansas does impact Washington, D.C. What goes on in D.C. impacts Arkansas. And it's clear that no matter what Tucker says, if he is elected, Pelosi will very likely be the Speaker of the House. We will have tax increases. We will increase regulations. We'll roll back the reforms of President Trump.
You're shaking your head.
I think everybody's tired of that response, frankly. I know I am. Respect to the chairman in his position. That's what they've been winning with and what they're saying. But absolutely, what happens in Washington affects Arkansas, and what happens in Arkansas should affect Washington. But let me tell you what should happen in Arkansas. There's a reason less than 20% of the voters came out for the primary election. People are tired of this. People are tired of this noise. So what you get is extremes, and what we need is somebody to go to Washington and not talk about anybody else. Talk about what they're going to do for Arkansas. We're going to have better health care. We're going to have lower insurance premium. We're going to fight the opioid crisis. Your kids are going to have better schools, and if your schools aren't performing, we're going to find new and innovative ways for it to get done. And folks, I'll tell you, as the Democratic Party chairman, if there's a candidate, if my two choices are one that wants to vilify and demonize and scare people into voting for me, or if there's a candidate that's giving me ideas and tells me how Arkansas is going to be better for my kid when he grows up, I'm voting for that candidate regardless of which party they are members.
Well, let me respond to that, because what goes in Arkansas will impact D.C., and what happens in D.C. is impacting Arkansas every day. This is not a state election. This is not a state office. This is a federal election that will determine who is Speaker of the House.
Well,
I'm tired of hearing. Wait a minute, sir. I didn't interrupt you.
White County,
I did not interrupt you, sir. I am a gentleman. I expect you to be a gentleman as well. We had an increase in voter participation in our primary, over a 10% increase. People are responding to the conservative message of the Republican Party. They're responding to what French Hill is doing, and they're out supporting him. And that will continue. I know you don't like the message. I know you don't like the success the Republicans are having.
I don't know the message.
The message is Democrats will bring higher taxes, more regulations, we'll have higher unemployment, we'll go back to the days of Barack Obama's policies.
Mr. Chairman, with due respect, it is an election to send somebody to Washington to represent White County and Van Buren County and Pulaski County and Faulkner County. It is not an election to go choose who the leadership of either party is. It's an election to represent who they're from, and it is unfortunately a tired message. The message should be The message for any candidate, regardless of party, is I'm going to Washington to care about Arkansas, to represent the counties that elect me and the people that elect me, and we're going to make the best decisions, and I'm going to support good legislation regardless of which party's running it if it benefits Arkansas. That should be the message from any candidate. And we are being intellectually dishonest. You and I are being intellectually dishonest with voters out there if we strictly use scare tactics and old talking points to push candidates.
Well, you may be intellectually dishonest. I am not being, because if a Democrat is elected from the 2nd Congressional District and the Democrats take control of Congress, Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House. That will be the first vote that occurs. That will roll back the progressive moves that President Trump and our Congress have moved forward on. That's important.
Let's get to this
Chairman
really
may have a
quick.
better crystal ball than I am, but I think Clark Tucker is going to go out and have a message about fighting for jobs, fighting for Arkansans, and he's not really interested in what's going to go on in Washington. He's interested in what he can do to go to Washington and help Arkansas.
Well, I know we've hit a nerve with AR2, and we could talk about that for some time, but I wanted to quickly get to the governor's race since we are seeing this Hutchinson-Henderson matchup, which was kind of predicted going into it. Let me throw out this question. Do you think Henderson gets a better margin than Morgan?
Well, let's touch on that. In 1980, Chairman's old enough to remember it better than I, but I've been told, and I double-checked it, and I saw somebody tweet about it, and as we know, Twitter must be true, that when then Governor Clinton lost to Republican challenger Frank White in 1980, there were less than 20,000 voters in that Republican primary, yet Frank White went on to defeat then Governor Clinton. So I think margins in primaries are exactly what they are. It is typically your base voters. It is not necessarily that large electorate of swing independent voters that have shown they'll vote either way in Arkansas, more so Republican lately, but have shown they'll vote either way. So I think primary margins are where the party lines up. I think there are big opportunities for things to change in general, as Arkansas history has shown.
What do you think, Chairman Webb?
I believe Governor Hutchinson has a record of achievement. I believe that his numbers will carry forward, and I believe that Mr. Henderson will get the Democrat base vote. That'll be around 33%.
Any more than that, are you feeling, Chairman Webb? I mean, sorry, Chairman Gray.
Oh, I think, we've yet to be seen. Governor Hutchinson just came out of a primary where he defined, to Governor Hutchinson's credit, he didn't get in the mud of anything. He talked about what he'd done for Arkansas and his priorities. I think we have a real opportunity for the people of Arkansas to see someone else that's not going to get in the mud. They're going to talk about Arkansas and talk about their priorities, and margins will be what they will be, but we're going to have a good, healthy conversation about priorities, about education, about improving every county in Arkansas, not just 2 or 3, and we look forward to the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. We believe promises made, promises kept. We look and see where Arkansas is. Highest income tax reduction in our history, the lowest unemployment in our history under a Republican governor and a Republican government.
All right, well, gentlemen, we'll continue this conversation in just a second. After a quick break, we get into some of the most contested races in the November election who didn't have primary opponents. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Hi, I'm Missy Gibson. My family and I would like to invite you to see all that John Gibson Auto Sales has to offer. We have one of the largest, most diverse, and newest inventory of any buy here, pay here dealers in the state. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, motorcycles, ATVs, campers, performance trailers, and boats. Whether you have good credit, bad credit, or no credit, we will finance you. Check us out at johngibsonautosales.com, and we will have your purchase ready when you get here.
These people are all on the way to the dentist, and yet they're smiling. Let's find out why.
Carrington has saved me a lot of money. I recommend it.
You mean the Carrington Dental Savings Plan?
Carrington has saved me a lot of money.
Well, actually, Ron, Carrington has saved millions of people money. Carrington provides discounts on dental care, including routine and preventative treatment, specialty care, and cosmetic care like teeth whitening and braces. Save big on over 600 dental procedures when you visit a Dental Savings Plan is not insurance. It's a low-cost way to save on dental care.
I pay just a fraction of the regular price.
No forms to fill out, no limits on use, and no waiting to use this plan. Plans start at just $8.95 a month.
Becoming a member is easy.
Never overpay at the dentist ever again.
Call now. The first 1,000 callers to sign up receive a limited-time special offer. Don't delay. Call Carrington today.
1-800-861-4807. 1-800-861-4807. So far, the Arkansas Scholarship Lottery has helped fund more than 260,000 scholarships for students like Yvonne.
The moment I realized I received the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship was amazing because growing up in a single-parent household with my mom, it just took up a lot of stress off our shoulders. I want to thank the Arkansas Lottery Scholarship for everything that I've received and the help that I've gotten. I owe it all to you guys. This is winning.
Congratulations, Yvonne. You earned it. Apply now at scholarships.adhe.edu.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. We are back with Arkansas Democratic Party Chair Michael John Gray and Republican Party Chair Doyle Webb. Gentlemen, thanks again for joining us.
Still friends.
Yeah, I can confirm that. Right. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, we haven't really gotten to give some love to these other races just because they didn't have primary opponents, but still a lot kind of going on ahead of November. And so first off, I wanted to get into this Attorney General race. Something that we've seen interesting happening just recently this past week with Attorney General Leslie Rutledge is these ballot initiatives. You know, of course, 2 lawsuits were essentially complaining, you know, hey, 70 ballot initiatives came to your desk, you rejected all of them. Then we see her kind of have a change of heart. Do you think that will end up impacting her in the race come November? Chairman Webb,
I absolutely do not. I think she has made it clear, even the dissent from the Supreme Court has made it clear that the legislature is going to have to come in and clear up this process. She's following the law. That's what she should be doing. These will go out to a vote if enough signatures are procured on the petitions. This is much to do about nothing.
What do you think, though? Do you think, Chairman Gray, that her Democratic opponent, Mike Lee, who kind of jumped into the race at the last minute on candidate filing, he'll kind of use that against her? Is that a strategy?
I think Mike's just going to go out with a message of we've got to do our job. I mean, there are days, every day, where there are rules that we have to operate in that I wish the legislature would change, but they are. And so until they change them, we've all got a job to do. And I think Mike's going to talk about if the people want this, if it's important, you should do it, and it shouldn't take the press and lawsuits to force people to do their job. I think Mike's got a real message of let's take care of Arkansas. As a farmer, I can tell you regulations from the federal government impact me every day, and I think some of them are too onerous. But I think there are a lot of things going on in Arkansas that we should be looking at first. I mean, if you're out there and you're getting if you haven't updated your Google listing or the warranty on your car and you're getting a local phone number from a robocall or something like that, or if you're a victim of a payday scam or a used car dealer hadn't been completely honest with you, I think those are the issues that the Attorney General really needs to be looking at, and I think Mike's going to go out there with a message of we're going to do the job for Arkansas.
What about the Secretary of State's race? So just because Mark Martin has held the position for quite some time, he's term limited. People are saying, or kind of calling for maybe a more visible leader here. Going into this, though, we did see John Thurston, the land commissioner, come out on top over Representative Trevor Drown. What did you think of that, Chairman Webb, and going forward?
It was a hard-fought primary on both sides. One thing we discovered in the Republican Party is that every county mattered. Every county cast votes in the Republican primary. It was a close election, and every one of those votes counted. I think John Thurston has clearly served the people well as land commissioner for 8 years. I think he is deserving of being Secretary of State and is prepared to be Secretary of State. You know, I think the best day of a Secretary of State is when you're not in the press. If the office is running right, and elections are running right, and things are going right, we should never hear from the Secretary of State. They're not charting the course, excuse me, of Arkansas in the future. So I think John Thurston will do well. He'll campaign hard. He loves public service.
What does his Democratic opponent, Susan Inman, have to do to kind of turn the seat back to the Democrats?
Let me say, first of all, you couldn't find 2 better Arkansans than Susan Inman and John Thurston. They're both just good people. And I hope the chairman's true to his word. The Secretary of State shouldn't, I think their best days are when it shouldn't be in the press. So let's see a campaign for Secretary of State that talks about what the Secretary of State does, which it makes it easier for people to vote, that equips these counties, every county, with updated voting equipment and voting education, and gives those people, those poll workers that sometimes sit there for 14 hours a day volunteering basically to help run these elections, to make sure they have the support they need. So let's not have a debate about, this is the Secretary of State is doing business that should be nonpartisan. So let's have a debate about who's most qualified to do those kind of things, and not a debate about national politics. And I think if we do that, Susan's been head of elections in Pulaski County. I think she's more than qualified, and I think if we can have that kind of conversation about what's best for Arkansas, not what's best for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, but what's best for Arkansas, then Susan should come out on top.
Wanted to ask you about some of these state house and Senate races too while we still have some time. There was 2 lawsuits, one against the Democrats from the Republican Party and then one against the Republicans from the Democratic Party. Ultimately, when we saw a lot of back and forth in these hearings, a judge ultimately decided that neither of the candidates would be kicked off the ballot. But going into this is House District 19 and House District 21. Do you see this coming up in the during the campaign process, or is this just kind of water under the bridge now?
You know, I don't know that it will come up. I think it's kind of pre-game activity, if you will.
Pre-gaming.
Pre-game activity. I do think that if someone is not connected to the district, that will have an impact on their race. So if you're not living in the district, if you're not integral in the district, that will impact you. People want to know who you are. And I'm not speaking one side or another there. That's just the fact. But that's all. That was pre-game. Now we're back into the game.
What about you, Chairman Gray? Just let voters decide now.
So, once again, I would ask the chairman to look to the campaigns as we discuss it. Absolutely should be somebody that's connected to the community. What happens in Little Rock affects people in Waldron or Mountain Pine or Hot Springs, and you need to have people that are connected to the community. I think the fact that both parties won the challenge shows the bigger problem in Arkansas. Growing up in Woodruff County, second smallest county in the state by population, there were times where we had 3 state representatives because these lines are drawn to get population. So I think at the end of the day, the way it's set up, the way the courts ruled, Chairman Webb or I could go rent apartments in 100 house districts, and as long as we had somebody picked out a year from now, we could move them in there and they could run. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but we could do that. And I think we've really got to take a hard look at what residency really means, and it means being a part of the community regardless of what party you are. And then I think in the long term, we really ought to take a look at while we have both houses in the legislature based on population, there are counties that become underrepresented because they're cut up so much that the leadership is from the larger parts of the county. So it's a bigger question. Don't know if it's as much a campaign issue, but it ought to be an Arkansas issue.
And let me say this, if the 2 candidates, the 2 Republicans, both are representatives.
Right,
and I think they have a record to run on, a record of public service. I think that will be, believe that will carry the day, whether it's Richard Womack or Marcus Richmond. Their record of service will carry the day.
Speaking of 2 other Republican representative incumbents, I will go back to the primary for a second. We saw a very, very close vote between Jana De La Rosa's seat and Dan Douglas's seat. Again, both Republican incumbents. Douglas is good to go. He didn't have a Democratic or Libertarian or anything like that kind of challenger ahead of November, but Jana De La Rosa faces a Democrat. Is that an indication that we could see some sort of seat flip, or no?
I believe in both those seats. That was contest in a strongly Republican area, and I believe you'll see the Republicans come back together and support the nominee.
What do you was that hopeful at all, or are you kind of ignoring that and looking to other ones?
Well, we're not ignoring any House race. Katie McFarland's running against Jana De La Rosa. Katie is an outspoken advocate for the issues, and she's going to get out there and run a hard campaign. But I want to say, in Representative Douglas's race and Representative De La Rosa's race, what you saw was 2 state representatives that come to Little Rock and they make the hard votes and they don't push it off and they don't talk about national politics. They talk about what's best for Arkansas, and they were challenged by people using special interest and national talking points, and ultimately, albeit by slim margins, the people of their district said, we want people that care about their districts, and they elected them.
Does that worry you going into some of these other campaigns come November?
You know, it's hard to generalize on all campaigns.
Sure.
Personalities carry the day, votes carry the day, hard work going door to door carries the day. So I think we just look. I think when the dust settles, You'll still have overwhelmingly majorities of Republicans in the State House and the State Senate. We may lose 2 seats and we may pick up 2 seats. I don't know what will occur because I don't have a crystal ball, but we'll see what happens.
All right, well, hey, we'll see how voters respond going into November. Thank you, gentlemen, both for coming back on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
When we come back, looking ahead to November isn't just about the candidates on the ballot. We'll look at the fight over ballot initiatives that heated up this week, and a new study finds work requirements will kick thousands of Arkansans off their health coverage. Hear who's most at risk and how the governor is responding. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
At Sonic, you get your slush your way. So pick a flavor, add real fruit, add candy, then add a straw. What does that equal? Hang on, I'm not done.
Explore Westlake Village, Saline County's newest premier gated subdivision. Come see our dedication to creating trend-setting homes. This neighborhood invites contemporary and modern designs. With green space and walking trails, it's conveniently located near I-30, top schools, shopping, and restaurants. Features 64 oversized cleared lots starting at $64,000. With no special improvement tax and flat lots, you can invest more in your dream home. Check out lots and homes for sale. Design build available. Call 501-804-6868 today.
We've tried real estate. It's been on the market for over a year. It hasn't sold. We can highly recommend Wilson Auctioneers. Mail-outs, their handouts, their television commercials is just outstanding.
Call them today.
Why list your property when Wilson can sell it?
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
You don't reach a milestone of 50 years in business without having a passion for what you do, taking care of the customer and valuing your product. And at Allen Tillery Chevrolet Buick GMC, that's exactly how we achieve that goal. Hi, I'm Allen Tillery. For over 50 years, the car business has been in my blood, and it runs through the whole family. We want to take care of you, be it service, state-of-the-art body shop, or your next vehicle. So come join the Allen Tillery family. That's Allen Tillery Auto in Hot Springs.
J. Oliver's Jewelry Studio is now open. Whether you're looking for an engagement ring, a custom piece of jewelry, or professional jewelry repair services, there is a better way to shop for jewelry. With 30 years of experience, trust the integrity of J. Oliver's, located on Rodney Parham next to Fusion Salon.
Nobody carries more homes, and no one can do what Mitchell's Quality Homes can do. Our prices are the most competitive, and our homes are the best built in the industry. Our energy-efficient homes are beautiful and heavy built with 2x6 walls, wood cabinets, and Energy Star appliances. And right now, we have a huge selection with tons of variety, like our 28x72-foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, only $55,995. But they're going fast. Mitchell's Quality Homes. Come see what we can do for you.
This cookie jar shake is like the perfect marriage of Oreo cookies and real ice cream.
Now that's a wedding I would kill to go to.
We're at it now.
Should I give a speech?
No.
I've known ice cream since college.
For a limited time, get new real ice cream cookie jar shakes half price after 8 p.m.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. A new report says some Arkansans may struggle to meet the new work requirements for the state's Medicaid program. On Friday, Arkansas will become the first state in the country to implement the new rules after getting approval from the Trump administration earlier this year. KARK4's Drew Petrimo explains why the requirements have solid support from top Arkansas officials.
In a report released on Thursday, researchers with the Urban Institute analyzed the impact of Arkansas's new Medicaid work requirements that go into effect June 1st. They found that 3/4 of working-age Arkansans who received health insurance through the government program will be exempt from the rules. The requirements say Medicaid beneficiaries must work, go to school, get job training, or volunteer. But they exclude parents, people over 50, anyone under 18, and the disabled. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson.
The benefit is that it's going to move people from into increased work opportunities, worker training, responsibility.
But the Urban Institute estimates that nearly 40,000 people who are subject to the new requirements and are not currently working could lose their health care. Health policy researcher Anuj Gangopadhyay talked about the groups that may have difficulty finding a job.
No internet access, no vehicle access, less than a high school education,
serious health limitations.
And he says seasonal employees could face challenges because an 80-hour work requirement is calculated every month.
They may be subject to starts and stops in work and could consequently have their coverage jeopardized.
But Arkansas Congressman Bruce Westerman is convinced the work requirements will help Medicaid recipients.
It's a first step in moving people from welfare to work.
Many will be watching Arkansas's program when it's the first of its kind to go live next week. More than 10 other states are working to implement similar rules. In Washington, I'm Drew Petrimo.
And Governor Hutchinson responding to that study, saying the Urban Institute's findings don't reflect adjustments DHS has made as it's implemented the work requirement. He says, quote, "We have worked tirelessly to ensure the integrity of this program, and I am confident that the work requirement will connect Arkansans to work and training with opportunity to move up the economic ladder." And now turning to something that we were just talking about with Chairman Gray and Webb. The battle over the ballot saw some major twists and turns last week. Since 2016, 70 ballot titles have been submitted to the Attorney General's office. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge had denied all 70 of them. Sponsors have been highly critical, and some have taken her to court over it. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled against her. Justices ordered Rutledge to either approve or make specific recommendations to a ballot title aiming to increase Arkansas's minimum wage. In response, the Attorney General certified that issue, as well as ballot titles aiming to legalize casino gaming and sports wagering and to change the way Arkansas draws its electoral districts. She explained she was taking that step out as an exercise of caution and was critical of the High Court's decision, saying in a statement, quote, "The Arkansas Supreme Court has once again muddied the waters on these standards by offering no insight in its decision, requiring me to certify or substitute language of a ballot title that I had previously rejected." Adding, "The court's failure to include clear standards and reasoning has only exacerbated the confusion surrounding ballot title submissions." Little Rock attorney David Couch was the author of 2016's medical marijuana amendment. He's involved in more than one of the initiatives that have now been authorized. He says he expected his minimum wage issue to be approved, but didn't think it would happen like this.
I was surprised at the Attorney General's reaction by letting all of the other amendments out without a court approval. I thought she kind of overreacted somewhat. You know, her job is to write a ballot title or approve a ballot title. It shouldn't be an adversarial process with the citizens and the Attorney General. It should be a collaborative process.
Each ballot title has until July 6th to collect the signatures necessary to get it onto November's ballot. Couch says he's collected the needed signatures for a ballot title in less time than that and is confident he'll be able to get the Secretary of State's sign-off. And we're back to wrap it all up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
I'll be the one. This is your time, and I want to help you get there. What just happened?
You are amazing. This is America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent premieres Tuesday on NBC.
We've made it this far. You're living a dancer's fairy tale right now. That whole routine made my heart sore.
Remember this, you cannot change the laws of God. When He has visited you in some form of adversity, and He brings you through that, that's like He has increased the strength of the foundation of your life in your faith in Him.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And that does it for today's show. We, of course, want to know your thoughts on all of the issues we discussed during Capitol View, among the many others affecting our state. So just make sure you keep using that hashtag MyCapitolView on Twitter and Facebook, both during and after the show, so we can continue the conversation together. We're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Have a great rest of your Memorial Day weekend.